my inquiry here is how close of an edge we walk between the necessity of the primalistic ways in which kept, tribes together and what actually propelled human beings in groups versus modern times, like what the thin line is actually.
Yo, man.
What's going on, man? Back on the other side.
Back on the other side, dude. Back in the Midwest.
Yeah, dude, it was such a pleasure having you out here. Had a blast.
Dude, it was so fun being able to do the episode in person. I can't wait until we can do it again.
Yeah,
It's so different, man, being back on just the other side of a camera, but still super glad to be here.
it's honestly, dude, it's actually pretty trippy. Like when you think about it, like I'm staring at this fucking brick that has you somehow, you know, getting transferred through into it, and we're talking live, and then you being here in person. It's just all crazy. It's just very trippy.
It is wild. Can you imagine what somebody 200 years ago would think?
Yeah,
About the idea of us doing this, like being in completely separated by vast physical distance and being able to communicate and see each other. Like I see you moving and I get to see your body language and your facial expressions and your environment. But then the second part is that we actually covered like those, what is it, like 800 miles or something, that I covered that 800 miles in 5 hours, like between going to the airport and getting checked in and flying over and you picking me up, like literally covering like 800 miles in 5 hours. Like both of those things,
it's crazy.
like someone
Yeah.
2 years ago wouldn't believe that.
It's like it triggers a part of the brain that we don't normally access, or it's not at the forefront of our consciousness to be able to perceive what's going on. It creates some sort of dissonance that we just don't have in our waking life. I don't know, maybe it's the mushroom trip too, but yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Um, all right, let's dive in, bro. I mean, we got a time limit here. Maybe we should. No, I think 40 minutes is good, but we could actually upgrade our Zoom if we wanted to get more time. But 40 minutes would probably be good.
Yeah. Yeah. Soon, of course, this podcast is going to be self-sustaining financially. And
Yeah,
who knows when, but really we could upgrade and or we could use different media to get the job done. But I do like the 40-minute timer. I mean, I think we'll probably stick to that anyway, even if we use a different platform or if we just do Zoom Pro or Zoom Plus or Zoom Business, whatever it is. Yeah, I still like the 40-minute time limit because that's kind of part of the ethos, is to make digestible episodes, something that, yeah,
yeah,
doesn't take forever to get through. But yeah, I
yeah.
think,
The last thing I'll say is like I'm pretty sure people enjoy watching things when we just dive right into it. We don't have too much
yeah,
fluff in the beginning. So
yeah,
with that said, let's dive into it. So I'm gonna guide this one a little bit. We're gonna tap into what you brought to the table as far as like um, being out in nature and that importance in our lives. Because what I'm tapping into is stemming from this book that I'm reading, The Way of Men by Jack Donovan. Um, it's when we say the importance of being in nature, it's in essence kind of talking about our original primal self. It's like where we come from essentially. It's the natural world. So it's a good place to start and also to tie it in here because this book starts off by the question of asking not only how to be a good man, but how to be good at being a man. Um, and I think that's a dire question. And the more I read it, the more I'm recognizing how important this is for my life and some of the key points that I've been missing in myself. Um, so let me ask you this: to that question, what obviously you could probably go pretty deep with it, but what does that look like in your own brain? what makes being good, what makes the man being good at being a man?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I don't think we get a lot of, at least most of us don't get a lot of intentional um, education about that. Most guys don't really get something told to them. It's pretty rare. But for me, I think it's it's about embracing masculinity and those features that are entirely, embodied in guys. Um, yeah, for me, self-reliance is probably the key one. Being self-reliant and being able to make it in the world on your own, to be productive and able to learn enough to take care of yourself. That's, I think, a lot of the other things stem from that. If you don't have self-reliance, then you can't do a lot of other things that make you a man, or make you good at being a man.
Yeah. Yeah, the ideas of masculinity and being a man have turned into like a la carte personalities in our modern world, where men and women, for their own sake, are trying to grab and reach on to things. This whole list, this whole slew of the list of what it means to, what they think it means to be that sex.
Yeah,
And
actually, and that's something that's turned me off about these like attempts to return to, yeah, especially the male side of it. Like I've been turned off by some of that that's out there, that these guys are coming up with these stereotypical lists of all these things that it means to be a man, and just kind of cherry picking from those lists. And yeah, some of it feels a little bit inauthentic to me.
what, expand on that, like what?
Yeah, just maybe it's some of the like the bro culture things, just almost like ways of looking, ways of grooming, ways of kind of adapting the personality. Like I feel like there's a little bit of a stereotype that's flying around, where it's like acting like a man, and it doesn't seem to have too much to do with whether you have any underlying values or not. I see a lot of people that seem to be approximating this, like what it looks like to be a man, and maybe that's just me judging the surface and not looking deeper. But it just seems like there's a little bit of superficial stuff going around out there.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually a good point. Because all of our ideas of what it is to be a man or a woman generally stem from primal ways. You know, we had to inherently um, conquer nature in order to get into civilization, and then once we're in civilization, we are able to enjoy the luxuries and the comfortability of safety and spiritual explorations and everything of that nature. But those primal ways still exist within our bones. And I think no matter the level of development of society, they exist and we need to be aware of them. They just exist either subtly or in different forms. So they don't inherently go away altogether. Like, for instance, like strength, like a man a, a being a strong man physically, whether it's modern day today or primitive times, obviously that asset was more so used back in the day when we were
Yes.
hunting and gathering and stuff and fighting off tribes. But it's still seen today as a manly attribute. Just any man that is physically fit and able is going to probably have a higher status than an unfit male, or you know what I mean, his
That's
counterpart.
also true. Yeah.
Um, there's there's varying levels of that status in today's world, just because our strength isn't actually, it's not really needed on an everyday basis. But my inquiry here is how close of an edge we walk between the necessity of the primalistic ways in which kept, tribes together, and what actually propelled human beings in groups versus modern times, like what the thin line is actually. Because let's say, like, if shit hits the fan tomorrow, like the realistic possibility, if that even is one, um, how quickly it's going to revert back to, needing some of these more basic fundamental attributes in order to survive and progress in life.
Yeah, dude, that's a really profound question to ask. That line is something super interesting to explore. I love it. So that's so true that those underlying realities are are there. Like the structure of reality hasn't changed. We've built a superstructure on top of it. We've built these marvelous technologies that allow us to exist in comfort. You know, we got air conditioning, we got four walls, and we've got refrigerators and the internet and vehicles and whatnot. But all of that is a superstructure that we built on top of this more on top of the primal reality that's always there. And yeah, if that superstructure could disappear. So I think everybody's cognizant of that fact. And that's one of the reasons why a physically strong man is still respected for that reason, why you still have like an inherently high status from that. I also think, yeah, some of those basic skills. I come from a town where people hunt. My family didn't do it. I didn't learn, but almost everybody in Chrisman is a hunter or knows how to hunt. And I think a lot of those, yeah, skills like that, being able to fend for yourself off the land, are also, yeah, like I said, self-reliance. Like being able to do that will always be valuable, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It really doesn't matter the day and age. Doesn't matter how much comfort we have. It's always going to be valuable. Um, the well, I'll read this excerpt right here from the book where it kind of talks about modern times, and that we don't have that physical challenge anymore as a man. It's more of a psychological one, and that um, we're it's like we're staked to the ground, and it says we're left to the madness of barking at the shadows in the night, taunted by passing challenges left unresolved and whose outcomes will forever be unknown. So, in my experience of this book, it's really been igniting the draw towards feeling like a man in this world, even amidst the comfort and amidst the craziness, the questioning of this fucking existence within our society, sex changing and all of that, which has a whole nother conversation to it. But for me, my experience is like I want to be rooted in being a man in this experience. Like that is it feels like true to my bones. And how can I be good at that? Um, and there goes through a couple characteristics through the book. I haven't gone through all of them yet, but strength being one pillar, and the next pillar is courage. Courage is a big one. What does courage mean to you?
Yeah, courage is the willingness and openness to engage with life in the direction that makes sense to you. To me, it's yeah, there's really not a difference between intellectual courage and physical courage, at least in a broad sense. When something makes sense to me and I believe that it's right, then I'm exhibiting courage when I go towards that in the face of challenges. That's because there's always going to be setbacks, there's always going to be obstacles, and especially when something is worthwhile. Yeah, all the worthwhile things in life are usually standing behind obstacles. It's out here, and you've got obstacles in the way. And courage is going through those obstacles toward what's
Yeah.
worthwhile, even if it takes a long time to achieve it, and even if we don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Courage is like walking towards the direction of danger, uh, in pursuit of whether it's personal gain or gain for the collective,
Yeah.
it's inevitably walking in the direction where risk is more apparent.
Into the unknown. Yeah, courage isn't exhibited when we're dealing with the familiar and the known. I think you have to engage with the unknown, the dark side of life. I mean, in the sense of what's dark for you, what is unfamiliar territory. That's where courage is exhibited. If we're living our lives in the familiar and the known, and we're staying in our comfort zone, then naturally we're not going to exhibit a lot of courage.
Yeah. So that is a obviously a strong pillar in being a man.
Yeah.
When there's someone that exhibits courage in life, when they show themselves to the world, um, that they're willing to risk their face to gain whatever it is. If it's, and it of course needs to be with morality and or morals in mind. Um, That's a very profound one. Like, because these are things that actually can be exercised by us. When we actually contemplate these things, they're super important, and we can actually use it as a framework to walk towards things and to bolster ourselves up. I was dwelling on the fact, though, that in our modern day, like let's say in Roman times, courage could be seen as being on the battlefield. But we live in a polar opposite nowadays where a lot of people are kind of waking up to the fact that being a part of the military is actually like an escape. It's a scapegoat, you know? We're not, we don't all stand for the same things anymore. So courage more or less is a very individual experience in this life at this moment in time. So there's going to be experiences that we have in life that it's no one else is going to know it's courageous but
Yes.
ourselves. We are the only true knowing of that experience being a courageous act, because we know it's challenging for us, but no one else might not see that.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think it is a little bit easier um, to separate that out objectively in society when people are going off to fight war, and you can see that they go and they fight valiantly, whether they live or die, win or lose, that they don't turn their back and they fight. Then it's it's easy for people to say that person acted courageously in war. But yeah, in modern times, a lot of our challenges, those challenges are private because you can do something that looks hard, but it might be really familiar for you. And
Yeah,
people will say, oh, like look at him, he's doing something that's so difficult, but you've been doing that for a long time. You're not really exhibiting courage. Now, on the
yeah,
other hand, you might do something that's simple for other people, like me going to an ecstatic dance on Friday night. And like I danced more at that dance in that time period than the entire sum of all the dancing I have done in my existence, this plane, this human plane. No lie. Like that was more than the sum of all my dancing before. So for me, that was a courageous act.
yes, fuck yes. And then when you distill it into information for the public, then it becomes more collective. Like you can share that experience with others, and then you can speak that wisdom into them as well. There's a there's a story I wanted to talk a little bit about because it's very profound to me. Like the Romans have so much, all the ancient, all the ancient texts and everything. It's just so profound when you really dive into it. I'm just starting to like read more of it now, but it talks about it in the book a little bit. And it talks about a specific soldier who was going into an enemy camp to kill the head of the, the enemy. Um, to make a long story short, his name is Gaius Musicius. Who knows if I'm saying that right? But to make a long story short, he kills the wrong person and gets captured. And then the head of the enemy is threatening to throw him in the fire. And supposedly this dude willingly puts his own hand in the fire to show him he's not afraid of death. He's not, he's courageous. He came there for a fucking mission to kill him. and he's not going to be afraid no matter what. It says, look upon me and realize what a poultry, I don't know what poultry is. Do you know what poultry is?
Like paltry, like
Poultry, yeah.
it means like it's trivial to him. It means that
Yeah.
it's a super small deal for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Look upon me and realize what a paltry thing the body is for those who seek great glory. That to me is like, whoa, like these dudes were operating at a level of such high caliber that they didn't give a fuck about like their physical body. They were striving for success on planes that we are just getting back to, or at least like opening ourselves back up to. We're so in this modern world, we're so worried about saving our face, saving our personality, our egos, that we're entering this grooming state and everything. And yeah, I mean, there's a place for it, but like the level to which that simple sentence hits is just so profound.
Dude,
Whether it's true or not, I'm sure it fucking is. But like, I mean, don't tell me that doesn't give you a little bit of like a chill.
like it gets me hyped because I believe that that stance is always possible in any age. And I don't, yeah, I mean, some things about our culture might obscure that and make it harder to realize, but I believe that that stance is available. Yeah, I would even say I think that the path of being an entrepreneur is one way to bring that out, to set epic goals, to make $1 billion product, to put everything on the line, whether you fail or whether you succeed, to be able to say like, I'm going to do this, even if I go broke, even if people laugh at me, even if my reputation goes down the toilet, like I'm going to do it because I believe that it's right. You're not just throwing everything away frivolously. You're doing it because you want to achieve something that's great. And yeah, I think that that's possible for any of us. I think a lot of it has to do with what are you willing to put on the line? Like this guy. I can't pronounce his name either, but like he'll put his body on the line. It's
Yeah.
he'll put anything on the line. And I think that we have the chance to live like that as well. And yeah,
There's
man, that
there's a
shot's
sub,
cool.
there's a subconscious like program I think that we all carry, and it's knowing that great success comes with great risk. The risk is the success in being able to walk through it because it's all an illusion at the end of the day. The risk is merely the biggest monster or dragon that we have to face in order to get to the other side.
If
And
face the
you
dragon.
have to, you gotta walk in the direction where you are uncomfortable. Like you just, whatever it was, the dancing and for me, like, I mean, well, we all have different things, but I was just reflecting on like for me, like I've done all these adventure things in life, and it's like that stuff comes easy to me, where someone else it might create a lot of fear and like it
Swimming
might
with
not.
sharks and
Yeah.
skydiving and
I,
going
I
to
could do that
deadly
stuff to the day
countries.
I die. It's comes super easy and it makes me feel alive, and I'm gonna continue to do it. But there's more subtle things like like moving to a different apartment right now. That's like like an edge for me.
Dude,
So these are
that's
things that
yeah,
I need to pursue, and it's also showing us the gaps in our like personality or our being. So the thing is this is offering a lot of information on how to become well-rounded men, because I think we all should have that pursuit. I mean, what are we living for if we're not trying to be the best version of ourselves? We have to know our true nature. Our true nature is first being a fucking man. We can't be in this state of like questioning female values and male values. Like there needs to be a dividing line. We already know it. I mean, like when a man is very soft and doesn't have muscle, he's seen as like just without us thinking, he's seen as less of a man. He's less manly. And then versus a woman, if you see a woman with a lot of muscle and very brolic, you see her as more manly. It's just like strength is an attribute of being masculine. And there's others that kind of follow behind that. I think it's kind of stupid and silly for us to be dwelling on the questions of like what's male, what's female, because it's obvious. You know, I think it speaks to the time of the age we're in. We're like, what the fuck are we doing? We got to be going on to other things, not questioning. Like, I guess there's a maybe we could unpack it and maybe the real question is like, who are we? That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe that I think this is probably true of every generation of people to some degree. I'm hesitant to say that like any generation, it's sometimes it's easy to say that our generation is uniquely afflicted because we live in it and we see all of the neurosis and psychosis and the silly mistakes. But I'm sure the people in generations past, living through their generations, they also saw a lot. But that being said, I do think that we live in a time that has this general like purposelessness. We're struggling to find that meaning, and when we don't have a clear sense of who we are and what we're doing here, we devolve into these trivial questions. We start squabbling and questioning these trivial details. I'm inclined to agree with you. Like a lot of this stuff is not rocket science. It's obvious. And we start to ask these strange questions when we don't have a clear sense of what we're really doing here, the deep anchor in that purpose. And I think that's what a lot of those issues are, a lot of those questions like that people are fighting about now, the gender issues. And yeah, we forget that we're human beings first, and we need to seek that deeply human purpose. And yeah, I think when you step back and look at it from the 10,000 foot view, masculine and feminine are not that hard to identify. Some people might not like that, but to me, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah. And it's life is a circle. It all comes back to where it started at some point in time, and there's no beginning, right? Like the primal self, you can say is the beginning, but there was civilization before that. And we just go through this cycle of once we enter civilization, comfort then begins to grow. Then we begin to lose touch with what got us there. And then we start to degrade. And then those like true primal ways start to become awakened again. So it's just the cycle, really. Just a different experience, a different flavor, a different theme, whatever. This is kind of what I see this experience in this human form to be on this planet. So the wisdom to me is like, you got to choose, first of all. Like, you want to be like, you could choose to be a female if you want to be, even if you're born a man, like you could choose that.
Right.
But for the people that are still like in this place and not really like choosing which path they are following, a man or a female, that is probably the worst spot to be. And that's what this book is awakening in me, is like, I choose to be a fucking man in this life, and I want to be the best I can be at that. And it's not coming from this like patriarchal sort of point of view or misogyny. It's just like honoring the gifts that God gave my body as a man and what actually makes me feel good as a man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's more about authenticity. I agree. I'm seeking the nature of reality. My goal is to accept reality the way that it is, because I believe that's the foundation of flourishing in this life. We can't achieve anything worthwhile, especially fulfillment and happiness, if we don't embrace reality. And to me, embracing reality means embracing the way that I am, the way that there are. Some people will say you can change those things, but I believe there are unchangeable things about the way that I came into this world, and my goal is to embrace those things. So yeah, I'm on the same path. I agree that the worst thing is to be in a place of indecision, to not be decisive toward that, to be like, I'm committing to embracing this and doing everything I can to follow this path. Like, it's better, even if you're like, Yeah, even if you're a guy and you're like you feel this I don't know, overwhelming feminine energy, and you decide that you want to move in that direction with your experience, even if you have to overcome a lot of hurdles to do that, at least you're being decisive. But like being in that gray zone where you're not fully committing it's a dangerous place to be in
Yeah.
all endeavors.
Yeah. And I think that's like where actually a lot of people are, unconsciously knowing it. Not that they're actually questioning their sex, but they're not really claiming like their sex. They're not claiming being a man or being a woman and like what that actually looks like when you do that. When you claim being a man, and you know, it's varying levels for all of us, of course, but as long as we are striving to be the best for a version of ourselves possible, I mean, that's all we can ask for. We all have unique attributes, and that's what we need to pursue. Um, but like I said, I feel like once you like really consciously get to that standpoint, it's like I choose to be a fucking man. And then you start learning about this stuff, it's like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And then you start to like actually exercise being able to get better at being good at being a man.
Man, I'm gonna have I just said man. I'm gonna have to read that book. I haven't
Well,
engaged.
I'll do what I was thinking is I'll just send this to you when I'm done because I gotta start reading all my books and I'm starting to take notes and things. I was gonna donate it, but I'm thinking we'll just like maybe start like a book club between you and I, and I'll just send it to
Donate it to Jeff Gardner.
you. Yeah, yeah. And then you can send it back. I mean, it's a good one. I would probably actually keep this one, but um, yeah. Anyway, we're wrapping up here. Last thoughts for me is super powerful, makes you really think and question yourself, and actually makes you like practice being more of an asset to society and to groups. It makes you realize that there's subconscious programs of hierarchy that are actually guiding us in life. And by keeping them in the shadows, we actually are just going to continually be moved by the unconscious. But by bringing them to light, we actually are able to harness them and then utilize them as skills and then grow in our worlds. So I'm learning how much that's important and that also like what you offered, what you have, what skills you've developed in life and are able to offer to the world has a profound impact on your roles in life. So it's always going to be useful to gain skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, we can I don't have something else to add other than commenting on that because that's brings up some things for me. So talking about the hierarchies, like kind of keeping that stuff unconscious, like you can say social hierarchy or dominance hierarchy, pecking order. I think pecking order is kind of an apt term for that. Yeah, I can say that I've been one in my life to avoid that. I never really liked the idea of that, maybe because I didn't want to know where I was on the pecking order, to be quite honest. That's just the raw truth. But I do think that avoiding that doesn't do any good. I think it's best to realize that those things do exist in the form that they exist in, and you don't have to make a big deal out of it. You don't have to try to dominate everybody. You don't have to try to say, "Oh, I'm going to be at the top of the pecking order no matter what." Like if it kills me because I just have to be above everybody. But I do think that being aware of that. Um, yeah, these are things we've had this kind of conversation in previous episodes and private talks. These are things that I'm becoming aware of. So yeah, this is a well-timed episode, I think, because I'm just starting to embrace those kinds of things and not be so quick to suppress it and pretend that it doesn't exist, because it does. And Simba, we all have to take our place in the great circle of life. So it's don't try to pretend these things don't exist. Just
Yeah.
acknowledge and find our place. Um, but yeah, man, as far as skills, Absolutely, dude. And at the end of the day, for me, I want to create the most thriving for myself and my loved ones and the world at large. And the more skills I develop and the more I engage, the more I can do that. So, yeah, dude, the more productive we become and the more creative we become, we don't just help ourselves, we help everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. If I just want to add one thing is that books like this make us bring the unconscious to light. It's not even like we're like consciously suppressing these things.
Mm.
It's actually just making us reflect and realize, even though it's not such a in our society, it's not like there's a spotlight on these things that makes it very apparent. They're still guiding the world around us. You just have to be very, very aware. And when you reflect and read through books like this, you see that, yeah, hierarchy, like no matter what, in a small friend group to the largest, circles in the world, it it is controlling things. It's just like nature's way of organization. It just happens.
It
So
just happened. Yeah.
yeah, naturally. So in order for you to like be the best version of yourself, or if you want to find the truth of life, it's bringing all to light. And then also, I think it's stepping into that highest version of yourself. It's just like, you know, setting, like having the vision of like creating $1 billion product. It's like thinking that big, but for yourself, like your own personal energy dollars of like, what's going to be, what's going to make me $1 billion energy worth, you know what I mean?
Yeah, in energy dollars, exactly. What feels so epic to me? What is the thing that just makes me want to rise up and grab it over all the obstacles and all the challenges? Like orienting toward that kind of, I don't want to say like one thing, like one big project as a North Star, because I think values in and of themselves can be more of a North Star, but having that kind of project to reach toward can just bring out so many good things in us. It can make us want to be physically fit. It can make us want to be good partners. It can make us want to treat people in more honest and respectful ways. And just, yeah, and be better people, better men.
But yeah, man. Damn, we could have kept going on with this. We might have to do another one,
Yeah.
but I think it's
No,
good to cap things. Yeah.
let's revisit this after I read the book. After you finish it and send it
Yeah.
to me, then it'll
Yeah.
be time for part two.
Okay, cool. All right. This was awesome, bro. I will see you soon.
Awesome, man. See you soon. Peace out.